Okay, I'm gonna talk about the traffic jam in China in 2010. Since I wasn't there in China at that time, but then one of my relatives was actually suffering in the traffic jam in 2010. And she told us all about it. She's like, that's the most interesting top days in her life. Why is that so? It's because the traffic jam, when it is, usually the traffic jam is when the cars move slowly on the road. So that's the worst part because the driver has to focus on the road to avoid hitting other truck or anything else. But then during that time, because it's during the New Year of China, so a lot of cars, like we all know we have billions of people in China, so the cars wouldn't be able to move at all at the time. So she has to stay on the car, and for 12 days, her husband and their kid was staying in that small car, and they spend their nights, they spend their days in the car. And then since the weather was really cold, there are very nice people who send them blankets and food for free. So she's very impressed by all those people's help, and she told me that the traffic jam is when she learned about love from other foreigners. And I don't know.
Exactly the 140 mark, and you had 4 ums. Most of those were again towards that.
I would say your volume was, like I could hear you back here, but it was constant, I would say. So it wasn't varied.
But to go on that, remember how last week you weren't projecting as much? You definitely projected a lot more this time.
Yeah, that was awesome. And that, like, from a confidence perspective alone, it's so much better. And your volume definitely reaches, like Dylan said, just make sure to vary it sometimes.
But you did project it, so that was a huge improvement.
Yeah.
I think your hand gestures were, you did have different kinds of hand gestures, but they were a little repetitive. And you kind of pulled on your string once or twice. That can be a visual distraction. So. But it's good that you did use different kinds of hand gestures and that you didn't let the paper in your hand get in the way of your speech. You want to try maybe to move around a little more. Yeah, because you're back there.
Stay the same spot.
At the very
I
least,
just forgot to move.
that's fine. Even if you forget to move, one thing that can be really good to do is at least come up to the front of your audience and talk in front of them. In front of them so that you're not behind them and there's